Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's session. My name is Anka, and I will be your host for today, together with two co-hosts from a few partners of ours that I'm going to introduce shortly. But before I do that, let me also introduce my colleague Andrea, who is here in the chat with us and who is going to help us with anything that we might need. Andrea will also help me add the partners on, since I can't seem to find them in the chat. Andrea, can you help me with that, please? I can't seem to find our speakers in here. But in the meantime, oh, there we go. I have Natalya. Let's see. Okay, sorry for the... okay, there we go. I think this works. So together with us, we have Natalya and Austin. Austin is here from ZeroBounce and Natalya from Yespo. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. How are you doing?
Hey, guys. What's going on?
Awesome. We're ready to get a knowledge transfer session going here.
Good to be here.
Do you hear me well?
Yes, I can. How are you doing?
Oh, great. It's night outside, as you can see. Yeah, I'm in Ukraine, so I'm a little bit stressed, but I hope that everything will be great. And I think that it will be a productive discussion.
I think so too. I'm close by in Romania, by the way. So hi, neighbor.
Oh. So you are so close.
I'm far away.
Yeah, in the States, right?
Yes, Florida.
Yeah. Did you have your coffee? Most
Yes.
important item on the list. Yes, good. Because earlier we were talking and the coffee was still pending on the to-do list. So
Yeah, we got that taken care of. Don't worry.
good. Awesome. So how's everyone in the chat doing? Let us know where you're joining in from. I see some people already saying hello in the chat while we go over a few rules over today's webinar. So the first thing is that, yes, this webinar is recorded. So that means that you will be able to get a recording of our session after it gets processed. You'll be getting it via email very soon, and that way you'll be able to rewatch it as many times as you need to. House rules is that we talk about the topic first, and then we address your questions in a Q&A section at the end of this panel. So this is going to be an open discussion with Austin and Natalya. We're going to ask them some awesome questions, and we are going to talk about social media, email marketing, and how you can convert your social media followers into email subscribers, I guess. And the idea behind that is that if you're using social media, and by the way, let me know in the chat with a yes or a no if you're using these two mediums in your marketing strategy. Are you using a social media strategy? Are you using an email marketing strategy? Is it different? Is it intertwined? Yes, no. I'm so curious to hear about that while I introduce the topic. So as I said, we're talking about social media followers converting into email subscribers and even more. And the purpose of this is to make sure that you don't put all of your eggs into one basket. As we know, people tend to do that. They either focus all of their attention on email marketing or on social media marketing, when in fact you would have to create kind of like a collaborative effort between these segments of digital marketing, together with a few other tools and assets to kind of make up the entire digital marketing strategy that you have. I can see in the chat, yes, I use both for my clients, but aiming for them to work more symbiotically together. That's a very good answer, Cleo. We are good with subscribers, but need to convert them from email, which is why I am here. Both, but separate strategies. Only social media strategy for now. So I'm hoping that there will be something to gain from today's session. I do have my questions on my second screen, so that's why I'll be turning my head here and there throughout our session today. So without further ado, we'll start with asking some questions to start things off. This question goes to both of you, actually, so feel free to chime in with an individual reply to this. How do each of you view the relationship between social media and email marketing in today's digital landscape? How do you see these two channels complementing each other?
Ladies first, Natalya.
You are so tricky. Okay. I think that social media, it's first of all for building brand awareness and engaging with a broad audience. It's where brands can interact with customers in real time, share quick updates, and tap into viral trends. But email marketing, on the other hand, it's more effective for deepening relationships and driving conversions. It allows for personalized direct communication with an audience that has already expressed interest in brands. So I think it's not possible. I think that you must use it together. Because social media can be used more for building community and generate leads, which are then grown through email marketing. For instance, a follower might first encounter a brand on, for example, Instagram, engage with its content, and then subscribe to its newsletter for more in-depth information and exclusive details. Content can be shared across both channels, but with adaptation to suit each platform strength. A blog post might be teased on social media with a link, while the full content is delivered via email. For example, similar social media can drive traffic to landing pages where users can subscribe to the email list. Maybe also add that email campaigns can drive social media engagement by promotion contents, events, or new social content. Social media interactions can be used for the email segmentation, helping to tailor messages for specific user interests. So maybe you add something, and also I have an example, but maybe I add it later.
Yes. So to piggyback off of what Natalya was saying, in the business development world, we use the term touch, and social media is a great way to basically get your brand out there and make the first touch with people. Get in front of them, get them to learn about who you are, understand what you're doing, and then from there, convert them into the email world where you can build a more intimate relationship with them. That's where you can personalize things, communicate with them directly. It's just a much more intimate way of communicating with people. That's when you know you really have a client, is when you're communicating with them via email. Obviously, there's a lot of things you can do nowadays where you can make sales directly from social media and things like that. But in terms of getting the repeat business and people to keep coming back to you and really get a client that's going to last, you absolutely want to get their email and communicate with them via email. I thought of a little analogy I thought kind of worked. Social media is like when you're building a relationship with someone and you know somebody and you get the invite to their house and you're a guest for the first time. So, you know, you're there, you're a guest, but you're not getting too comfortable yet. But when you get their email, that's like when you go to somebody's house and you feel comfortable enough to go and open their fridge and maybe take some food or something like that. Like it's just a different level of knowing somebody. And so that's the level that you want to get to. That's when you know you really have a good client and somebody that you can build a relationship with and hopefully help to drive revenue in the future.
That's a great analogy. I always say in my webinars and in my calls that social media is your business card. So it's the first impression that people see when they get to know you first. And then when you start actually talking to them and getting to know them a little more, that's when they hop over to the emails and other segments that you might have and actually get to interact with you a little more and hopefully become friends instead of just business partners.
Mhm.
So yeah, great analogy. Awesome. Anything to add on this one? Not yet.
I
Good.
don't think.
By the way, to anyone in the audience, if you have any questions at any point, you can add them into the Q&A section, Q&A box here at the bottom, which essentially will mean I will be able to see them and ask them to our speakers at the end of the session. So now that we've talked about this, given the distinct purposes of each of these elements, social media and email marketing, what are the most effective ways for brands to leverage the strengths of each channel that they have to kind of support their overall marketing goals? How do they do that? Austin, how about you go first this time?
Okay. Yeah. So I think in terms of leveraging it, the core thing you want to do is segment especially when reaching out in social media. Obviously, there's a million things out there, right? There's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, this, that. There's a bunch of different things you can do. Figuring out how to get your brand and your service in front of the people that are going to be most interested is going to be most effective. I was just recently at a conference up in Boston where I got to speak to a lot of the marketing professionals, CMOs, and things like that from a bunch of large corporations out there. And these were paid advertising was a big part of their strategy. Paid advertising via social media to target the people that they think are going to be most likely to use their service. So once you get that target down and you segment those people into specific categories, then you can segment them. Well, absolutely, after then getting their email, but segment them based on the messaging they're going to receive, segment them based on their level of activity, what types of offers and things you're going to give them based on the type of client they are. So segmentation is really one of the key things you want to focus on when you're doing the outreach via social media, and then when you're also doing the outreach via email as well. So obviously, there's a funnel there where you funnel the people from social media into email to build that intimate relationship we're talking about. But in terms of leveraging each of them most effectively, the segmentation is going to be key, because you want to get the right message to the right people. You don't want people to feel like they're just a part of a big group that you're just casting a net out in front of. Making sure they're getting the most personalized thing that you can give them is what's ultimately going to drive the best results for sure.
That makes sense. Natalya, how about you? You're on mute.
I'm so sorry. I'm so
No
sorry.
worries.
So I mentioned personalization and segmentation, and I need to find something. So also,
Okay, I have a follow-up question then. I guess you can answer the follow-up in this sense. So since the answer would be quite similar, can you share any insights into how messaging and content strategy should maybe differ or align within these platforms?
it's different because we discussed that it's different stages of our client's life cycle. So first of all, in social media, we need to talk with our audience. We need to use social media to reach a large audience, spark conversations, and engage users with interactive content. So as you said, it's polls, quizzes, and something like this, and also with live videos. In social media, it's really powerful tool for sharing some content, but it's like small pieces of this content. And maybe it's interesting for people to know something behind the sense. Maybe it's also we need to provoke to create user-generated content, to create happening in the world and within your industry. I think it's important because people really involved when they do something for your company with your hashtags, with your for you, some stories for you, and also it's really tricky because you also can use it in email marketing, and also we did something like that. When you say that the best of your photos we can use in our email marketing, and people said, yeah, we want it. They sent a lot of photos, videos. So it was interesting because people really want to be a part of your company, but as Austin said, that first of all, we need to engage with these people, and then we need to provoke them to play with us, for example. Also, I think it's important, it's really important thing, gamification. Sometimes we really forget about it. And for example, in our company, in our business, we are CDP platform. It's not so funny. It's hard for some people. It's hard to sell when we use social media or email marketing. So that's why we just play with our subscribers and clients. People get tired and can even get irritating if they are constantly prompted to buy. Add gamified letters to your strategy. For example, you can use AMP technology. So you can play with your audience just in email. And such letters really often go viral, and followers may willingly share the results of the game on their social media. They send these emails for other people. So don't forget about it. It's really a great opportunity for your email marketing. And also, also, I think it's really important to send some big checklists in email because in social media, of course, you can use this carousel or something like that, but in these photos, these small tips, just we need just use for catch the attention and then provoke people to subscribe and get more information in your emails. And it will be really like you can combine different sides of social media and email marketing, and you can use all sides of these instruments. So maybe that's
Sense.
or maybe also I can add that social media, as we said, that it's for engagement, but email marketing, it's for life cycle campaigns. So when you engage your audience, you need to develop automated email campaigns that align with the customer journey, from welcome emails, maybe onboarding, to post-purchase follow-ups, ensuring that continuous engagement. So maybe that's all.
That makes sense. Thank you. Austin, any other insights to add?
In terms of content?
So any insights in terms of how messaging and content strategy can differ from social media to email? That was the follow-up.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, just generally speaking, and again, Natalya touched on this, but your social media strategy is much more general. You're casting a much wider net to see, okay, what people are going to be interested in my service. And then once you get that there, and you then can funnel these people into your email campaigns, then obviously that's when the segmentation comes into place, and you're really personalizing the messages and making the content geared towards what type of people you're actually dealing with. So don't get lazy. You know, don't just think you can just throw anything out there and say anything to anybody. People pick up on that. Nobody wants to talk to and engage with stuff that looks like it's coming from somebody just trying to sell them something. So it's worth putting in the effort to the messaging and the content that makes it look like you're really trying to cater to that specific person.
That's right. That's why also it's very important to have a content mix in your social media strategy so that you can take your followers through the different aspects of the industry and your business, and that way maybe educate or entertain them with gamifying, like Natalia said. So yeah, it's absolutely very, very important to do so. Okay, so I guess the next question is, from your perspective, what are the key factors that make social media followers more likely to convert into a highly engaged email subscriber?
Natalya, do you want to go first here?
I think, first of all, it depends on offers. Followers are more likely to subscribe if they see clear benefits, such as exclusive discounts, maybe early access to products, or valuable content. For example, of our clients made Happy Mondays in social networks and Happy Thursdays in newsletters. These days, the company published or sent out 4 products with maximum discounts that could not be found on the website. So it was really exclusive offer. In this way, offers did not overlap, and subscribers were interested in being subscribed to both channels. So it's small, it's easy example, but it works. Also, I think people don't like something when they don't get any useful information, any useful offers. For example, offering free resources like ebooks, guides, or webinars in exchange for an email subscription can be a strong incentive, especially for followers interested in learning more. They learn more about your niche, about your business, about some products. For example, in Instagram, you can show a lot of products, a lot of them. But there is no need to prepare discounts or educational materials for everything at once. It will be enough to choose a few top products or brands to attract the first audience to newsletters.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the results here actually start and are determined prior to even sending a message or doing anything like that. The first thing you want to do is figure out who you're targeting and who's most likely to engage with your service or use your service. A simple analogy is like if I'm going fishing and I'm fishing for tuna. I don't know. I'm sure everybody likes to eat tuna and things like that. But for those of you who don't know, tuna is a very big fish and it lives in the ocean. I'm not going to go fishing in a lake for tuna. I'm going to go to the ocean to fish for tuna. So that's the first thing, is making sure that you know where the people are that you're trying to contact and are most likely to engage with your content. So figuring out things like the age, the demographics, you know, men or women. By the way, if you're running a business, I recommend selling to the women. They love to spend money. But so figuring out what's most likely going to give you the best chance of converting them from a social media follower to an email is going to be the first thing, because you want to go out there and give yourself the best shot at getting there first. So figuring out where they're at, number one, is key. And then once you know where they're at, what do these people like? What's going to be most likely to engage? Kind of the exactly what Natalya was saying: discounts, offers, things like that, things that are going to make them want to build that relationship for you, so that when you do ask for the email, you can very smoothly convert them into that portion of the process.
Mm-hmm. So as a follow-up question to this, I mean, I guess we're kind of into it already, but what strategies would you recommend to do that, to make that conversion happen?
It's not.
Natalya, do you want to
Okay.
take this?
Uh, I can't create stories like you, so yeah. First of all, I think it's the most important thing that place a link in your bio that directs followers to a landing page where they can sign up for your newsletter or promotional offers. The landing page should have a simple and clear form for users to enter their email address, because somebody asked about GDPR. So we use just forms and landing page for it. Prepare really great offer for it, and also use this link in your stories, in your shorts. So use this link, or you need to mention that people can find this link and you need to follow you also in email. Maybe you need to create a permanent highlight on your profile and add some great examples of your emails, for example, with gamifications, with really big sale or something like that. And it will be useful and interesting for people. Maybe your turn and then my turn, just try to play.
That makes sense.
So,
Yeah, go ahead, Austin.
yeah, so I was going to say, so this is a super important component of the process, because this is where the rubber actually meets the road. So the number one thing you want to do is make sure it's a smooth experience. The least amount of clicks you can make, and make it so it requires the least amount of effort, is going to be number one. Creating just a smooth flow and a good user experience, like Natalya was saying, through landing pages. Landing pages are excellent. Anytime you can direct them to some sort of form, whether it's on a landing page or on your website or something like that, that's what you want to do. But I also wouldn't say, I would say, don't be shy to ask for emails, especially if you're giving offers. Like, I'm sure you see nowadays, it's a very popular thing. Sign up or give us your email and you get an extra 15% off, or 10%. Like, you start with a 10% offer. If you give us your email, we'll give you 15%. Something along those lines that's going to incentivize people to give you that data, and then you begin the business right there. It's just what for what. You're giving us data, we're giving you some extra money to then begin the conversation, allow us to market to you and things like that. But in general, it's got to be a very smooth flow. So as minimal clicks as possible, as minimal effort. I'm sure everybody's been there, where they're going through something because they want to get something, and then they see like this giant thing they got to fill out, or there's just too many clicks, too many processes, and they're like, forget it, I'll do it later, and then they never come back. So making sure that process is smooth and easy is rule number one.
Also, I want
That makes
to
sense.
about user-generated content. Also, I said about it that people want to share some information. So don't be shy to use it in your email and also in your social media. So you can use photos, illustrations, videos, or reviews. It really great job when you use reviews, when you get this feedback, and then you share it with your clients, with your subscribers. Also, provoke to use your hashtag. Create some challenges. Play with your customers, or maybe future customers, but subscribers, and also that's really good job. Your turn.
Okay, so to summarize this first part of our panel, we have talked about how you should know your audience first to make sure that you're catering to the right audiences on the right platforms. Make sure you present your best looks, I guess, best information on social media, and then be more friendly with those people who first meet you on social media, in the newsletters, in the email segments. We then talked about some factors that you need to take into consideration when working with converting people from social media into email subscribers. And lastly, this is what we were just talking about, a few strategies that you can use to convert people, strategies that include incentivizing your audience by using some sort of an offer, call to actions, using links with landing pages so that you promote subscribing to the newsletter, and making sure that these things are very visible so that your social media audience gets familiar with what you can offer to them on email.
And also somebody, sorry, somebody
No,
asked.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
If you want to use this link, landing page link, in your comments, in your chat bots, feel free to use it. Share this information, share this link.
It's not a
Uh,
secret.
yeah, yeah, just use it when you feel that your subscriber need it. Just share it.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's very true. Okay, so we're going into the second portion, which is some more targeted questions. And the first two questions that I have are for Natalya. So, Natalya, how can brands segment their email lists based on social media activity to ensure any personalized or relevant content?
That's hard question. We have the rules. We have a law. Social media cares about their users and their data, as you know. All we can get from social media is the data that the user himself indicated in the lead ads form or in our landing page, as well as some demographic and geographic parameters. And that's all. Therefore, we can evaluate which post interests not a specific user, we can't see it, but is popular in general among the audience.
Mhm.
So we can use data from lead ads for personalization. That's why you can use different fields, not only email, but for example, you can add a name, or as I remember, it can be filled in. But you can use name, you can add a field with some interest if it's necessary for you. Maybe you can ask about birthday, about some brands, or something like that. Also, it can be useful to skip all this data and ask people. And then when they subscribe, send them a letter with all these fields, maybe in welcome series, maybe in onboarding, maybe in their account. You can ask all these questions. So just decide for yourself. It's enough for you to get just email, or you need to add some additional fields. But maybe you need to add one or two fields, because when it will be a long form with a lot of fields, it's hard to understand what you want from your future subscribers. So just choose the most important fields.
Okay.
Um, and also, I needed to mention it because after a user fills out the form, their profile is instantly created in the CDP or ESP using the provided data. And also we can add location and language, for example, so we don't need to ask about it in our client because it's open information. And then you can use it for personalization in email. For example, you can use it some phrases like thanks for signing up through our Facebook ad. So it's also personalization because we know the social media and also know the name, email, maybe location or something like that. It will be enough on welcome series.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so how can a CDP like Yespo help brands move beyond basic segmentation and maybe create dynamic behavior-based segments that can trigger maybe personalized email campaigns and things like this based on social media interactions?
It's also our pain because most social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, etc., they generally provide aggregated data about likes, comments, and shares. But it's enough for us to understand about some popular items, and also we can use it. So this means you can see how many people liked or commented on a post, but cannot directly access or link this engagement data to specific users' email addresses. So we can't use it for personalization when one person liked something, but we can use it in general. But as maybe I said already about it, that we can use names of social media, we can use our client's name, and also it's important to check most valuable metrics when you start to discover how it works, how your subscribers interact with your emails. So you need, I think a lot of people know about all these metrics, but just at a glance. So you need to check open rate because a high open rate indicates strong interest in your content. Click-through rate, so users who click through are likely interested in your offers or your content. Conversions, I think you know what does it mean. And also it's important to check engagement frequency. Segmenting by engagement frequency allows you to identify your most loyal and active subscribers, as well as those who are becoming less engaged. And also, it's important when you add some people from social media to look through churn rate and unsubscribe rate, because maybe you gave them a lot and they don't need all your email marketing. They just catch this offer and they don't need your company. Yes, it's true, but sometimes it happens. So
That
maybe, yeah, maybe that's all.
Awesome. I actually had a follow-up question on sharing some specific metrics, but I think you already answered it so well. So I'm just going to end on that note with this question. And I'm going to move over to a few questions for Austin now. Austin, considering ZeroBounce's focus on email validation and deliverability, how can brands ensure that their rapid growth in email subscribers from social media doesn't lead to a decrease in the overall email quality?
Yes. So the first thing I'd say you'd actually want to do when you are getting these emails from social media is making sure they're actually legitimate emails, because I'm sure everybody in the chat here is guilty. Everybody's given fake emails. Everybody's, just fudge the information so that they can get through to the service and see what's going on. So, unfortunately, since that's a very common practice amongst people, you have to make sure that the emails you're getting are actually real. And the best way to do that, there's a couple different ways you can do it. Number one, you can validate all the emails that you have in bulk. Just take your entire list, run it through a validation service like ours, and make sure that the entire list is going to be comprised of valid emails. Or one thing that's great is we have a real-time validation engine that you can actually put on your forms and on your landing pages and things like that, which will validate emails in real time on the fly, so that you know right away and if the email's valid. And then you can also let the user know that if they're giving you fake information or bad information, that they're going to have to give you something that's legitimate in order to get through, in order to get the offer that you're extending to them. Otherwise, you can block them and just say it's not going to happen unless we actually get your real information. So that can be very useful. We have a lot of clients that absolutely love that portion of the service, just because it solves the problem right at the gate, and then you don't have to go back later on and validate those emails, especially since a lot of people have welcome series emails. Like the second they get the email, there's emails already that are being sent out to these people. And if those emails are invalid, that's going to increase your bounce rate. You could start going to spam. Bad things could start happening. And so this avoids that problem and helps to maintain that good level of deliverability, because all the data that's getting through and is going to start receiving your welcome series emails is all going to be delivered, and everything's going to be good. So making sure that you're validating your list, especially as the emails are coming in before you start beginning the engagement with them, is definitely a key component to the success you're going to have.
You mentioned things going bad with emails. So what are some of the early signs that your email list is deteriorating, or how can you address these signs to make sure that you keep your email list healthy?
Yes. Number one, I would say visually, you're just going to start seeing a bunch of funky emails that don't look like they're coming from people. You'll see they start just, tons of numbers, tons of different characters and things like that. Things that don't look like they're coming from an actual real person. So that's like the first little test you can do, is just the eye test, the visual test. Does this look like a good email, or does this look like it's comprised mostly of a bunch of garbage? If you start seeing a lot of that, then you kind of want to start digging in a little further into what's going on. The next thing you're going to see is your bounce rate increasing. So the magic number we always say is 3%. You want to keep that bounce rate under 3%. As you start creeping towards 3%, then you're going to probably start seeing more problems. So 3 is the magic number. Do your best to keep that bounce rate under that number, and you should be good to go going forward. And then the next thing, as you're sending emails, and you might see that they're being delivered, but there's no engagement. And so then you got to ask, okay, is this a content issue? Are we going to spam? That's another big one. If you're going to spam, then you have some issues, and you got to really dial things back, slow down, and take the time to then that can be a whole mess. If you got to take the time then to start small again, or you have to, in some cases it gets so bad that you have to start with sending from a whole new domain. That's the other thing. Protecting your domain is key, because your domain is your brand in a lot of cases. Like it's your brand name. Making sure that remains healthy so that you can consistently send from that is a key component to the business. So keeping that clean, you want to keep that clean, but obviously you want some backups as well, because things can happen. So having like the .org, the .net, if you're initially sending from the .com, having those other domains as backups to send from, to plug those in case you got to cool down the .com domain, that can really help. But those are the main things. You're going to start seeing that the list looks like it's bad, like there's a lot of junk in there. Bounce rates start to increase, and then lack of engagement. Those would be the main early signs, I would say, of a deteriorating list.
Okay, and as email validation is critical in maintaining this hygiene of your list, how can brands effectively ensure the ongoing quality of your list? Particularly, how do they continue to gather emails from social media while still keeping their email list fairly clean?
Yes. So if you do this well, you can annoy the heck out of people. And I actually learned this recently because when I was speaking to some of these people at these conferences I was at, some of these marketing professionals, the numbers are crazy that they get away with. They have 99% deliverability while sending up to 25 emails a week. So imagine that. You're sending 25 emails a week. You're in people's faces all the time, but you still have that level of deliverability. Nobody's marking you as spam. Things aren't bouncing. And then, you're adding more emails to the pile. So that just keeps to increase and increase. Email works like a snowball. You another analogy, but it's either going to snowball in a positive direction or a negative direction. When bad things start to happen, they're going to get worse quick. And then when good things start to happen, it's going to get better quickly. So you just want to make sure you're pushing the ball in the right direction all the time. The average lifespan of an email is anywhere between 3 and 6 months. So again, looking at what your list is comprised of, whether it's mainly B2B emails or B2C emails, business emails, B2B emails tend to have a shorter lifespan. So they're more on like the 3-month side, whereas personal emails, the B2C emails, they're on the longer side. They're on like the 6-month side. So what that means is that depending on the composition of your list, if it's mostly B2B or B2C emails, you want to validate that entire list and keep up with the health of that list through that period of time. So for some people it's quarterly, for some people it's biannually. Some people are super paranoid and they do it every month, just to be sure that the list is good. But every time you're getting new emails, and especially like if you've received a lot of emails and there's a large chunk of emails have made your way into your list and you haven't checked those emails, you want to this is where segmentation comes in again, where you want to keep those separate from the ones that are good, so that you're going to deliver to those emails, and your deliverability on the newer emails isn't going to affect what's happening with the ones that are already good. So it seems like such a simple thing from the outside, but there's a lot of nuance to email that is going to affect your results. So you have to be very careful. But keeping up with the maintenance of your list, validating the list based on what the composition of your list is the core component to making sure that you're going to have success in the future, because eventually things are going to go bad. Like it's like cleaning up your house. Just, you got to do it. Get everything clean, make sure everything's nice and neat so that things are going to be good going forward.
So what I actually wrote down from what you said is that I want to make snowmen, not avalanches.
Yes, exactly. That's a great way to put it.
So that way I
Exactly.
have an army of snowmen and not an avalanche.
Yes.
That's what we want. Okay, so final question for you. How does regular validation influence any long-term email marketing performance, especially in terms of ROI and conversion rates?
Yeah. So it's the core component. Like I was saying, it's the fundamental thing you can do. If you don't do anything else and you just do email validation, you should see success, because you can't get ROI, you can't have results, you can't speak to people if you are not simply getting into their inbox, if you're not delivering and beginning that communication. So if you forget everything else from what was discussed, making sure that the email that you have is actually valid is the fundamental primary thing you have to do before any of the content, any of the fancy stuff, any of the other language and communication actually matters or comes into play. So it's the core fundamental component. That's why we exist as a business. I mean, we have a whole business now up to, we're almost 100-person company focused specifically on solving this one little problem, just making sure emails are real. That's how important it is. And everybody has emails. So, it's going to be a key component of your outreach and your marketing strategy. It's one of the fundamental marketing strategies there is out there. So making sure that the contacts you have are actually real is going to be key to your success.
That makes sense. Okay, thank you. This was very insightful, and we only have a few minutes left and a ton of questions. So, while I prepare the questions, I wanted to just give you the chance to say any final thoughts that you might have. Austin, Natalia, whichever one of you, if you have any final thoughts. Where can people
yes.
I'm
find you?
cheating. I'm cheating. I prepare to answer the questions.
Okay. Go ahead, Austin.
I was just going to say, if anybody's having any trouble with any of their email marketing out there, or has issues with their list, or has any questions, feel free to reach out to me, Austin at ZeroBounce.net, and I'd be happy to meet with you to talk about your strategy and what you're doing, and help to clean things up. Like I said, we serve everybody all the way through mom and pops, all the way up to the biggest corporations out there. So no doubt we could provide you with the same great service.
And just
I also recommend ZeroBounce because our clients also use it. So
Thank you, Natalya. Appreciate that.
awesome one. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Someone asked in the chat, what verification platform is it? So yes, it's zerobounce.net, and it's right there. Yeah, it's and I hear there's something special from ZeroBounce. Austin.
Oh yes. So if you do contact me, we do have a free test we can give you. We can give you free credits to try the service out and clean up some of the emails that you have. Great, especially for some of the smaller businesses out there that don't have large lists. You can get your whole list pretty much taken care of for free. So email me, shoot me an email again, Austin at zerobounce.net. And we'd be happy to give you those free credits so that you can sign up and then play with the service and get your emails cleaned.
We'll make sure to include all of the contact information in the follow-up email so that people can reach out effectively. Because I see someone asking that in the chat. So yes, there will be, the contact information will be in the follow-up email for sure. Okay, so let's quickly go through some questions. I'm picking the ones from the Q&A box specifically because we're running low on time. If there's anything that is not here, you still want answered, you can always reach out to the speaker who you want to get an answer from. So the first question that I have here is, knowing that broadly speaking, social media users tend to stay on the platform rather than click, how do you overcome this hurdle to get people to go from social media to a place where you can collect necessary information to begin the email process? Anyone?
Natalia, do you want to take this one?
I think it's offer, and offer again.
So
And
incentivize.
also, and also you need to repeat it if you need to.
Yeah, I think that works too. Making sure that your audience is aware, especially with new audiences, making sure that they're aware that you do have a newsletter or an email process, and then incentivizing them. Austin,
I think too, just in general, the sooner you can start a conversation with them, like putting in the effort to get a human into the mix rather than just computerized and generated things, general things, helps immensely, because people like to talk to people. They don't like interacting with these automated and computerized things. They want to speak to people. And so the sooner you can just get somebody in there to message them or talk to them, the better you're going to be, the better off you're going to be.
That makes sense. Okay, moving on into the next question. How do you funnel? If you can give an example. So for example, we have people that ask us questions on YouTube in the comment section, but we can only respond on comments. How do we get the email to respond to the question? I guess the simplest way to put it is to ask for the email, right?
That's hard because we need to see this content. For example, we have a podcast, and we also send a link for our subscribers on YouTube, because we share more information about behind the scene, some additional books, tips in our emails. So maybe you can send me your link, and we can talk with you about it, how to stimulate your subscribers.
Awesome. And where should they send you the link? I'm not sure if you added your contact.
I can add my
Add
link
it into the chat,
or
maybe, both of you.
yeah,
That would be great.
email.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Next question is, I'm interested in how this complies with GDPR, and I think Natalya already touched on this, and how you actually move from social media to getting an email address. So I guess it kind of touches on both things that you've already mentioned. If there's
Yeah,
anything to
we
add.
mentioned it. We can skip it.
Okay, perfect. Then I guess the next question is, can you give me some examples of gamifying your emails?
I can.
Someone
I
in the comments
yeah.
there.
I can maybe I can show it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will be fast. I hope so. It's, for example, our unicorn. So you can click here. You can change the color of this unicorn.
That's so cute.
So yeah, and it's also we had it's Ukrainian language, so but it's our Mr. Exe, and you can play with Mr. Exe, and you need to collect these rabbits. And then you get some promo code. Here it's some facts about our company, so you need to check it's fiction or fact, and you can play also like here. And it's some examples, so you can use carousel for some items, or even people can change the colors of items. They can choose their size and something like that. So
So
it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot, but I prefer for examples. But we have a lot of ideas. If you if you feel that you need it, so we have a lot of ideas, a lot of examples. So also just
that's good to have. Essentially, what I'm hearing is that you need to make your emails more interactive, more dynamic in order to get your audience to kind of interact with them more. Right?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Next question. Do you recommend Google login on websites or email collection platforms and can that be carried across from YouTube to prevent any double entries?
Austin, it's your turn.
Um, so I know you can. I think the Google logins and things like that are very good from a user experience. It makes things super easy, and you absolutely. I don't know specifically what the case is on like YouTube and things like that. I imagine you can collect the data from there, but it makes it easy to collect the data and do those things. But those logins are great. Um, I think like having the basic ones like Google, probably maybe a Meta login. I think they have one. X now, and then Apple are probably the most popular ones. But they work great from a user experience. Anything you can do to make it easier for people, you 100% want to do in general. So those logins are make life a lot easier.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that statement. Okay, so I only have two more questions left here. So if I plan to make my social media generated email list a repeat business, how do I communicate and keep the attention for years?
It's a big strategy. Words, but also it depends on your type of business, and also if we talk about your email marketing, so you need to create a plan maybe for 3 months. And also, it's really important, the attention for years. So that's why you need to came back. You need to check it again. You need to measure activity with this client. So it's really big part of work, but just start with some best practice. It's really a lot of articles about it, a lot of videos, because I don't want to talk about it. It's really great strategy. Maybe it's like in any kind of sport. So it's a shu, ha, and ri. It's three levels how you do something. So first level, it's when you just repeat some actions. You just learn some practice, and it will be enough for the start. But then you need to check it, you need to change it, and you need to create your own rules.
I was going to say that to keep the attention for years is a very, very ambitious goal. I'd say that you definitely need to recheck and revisit your demographics, your audience, and actually keep your email list clean and free of any clutter, as we were talking earlier, in order to make sure that it is productive for your business and for your strategy. And even so, your strategy might change over the years. So if that changes, then so should your email strategy and who you're catering to in order to reach your overall digital marketing strategy. Right? Austin, anything to add? Oh, sorry. You're drinking Romanian water, by the way.
I am. It's great water. I get a bunch of it shipped here. I love it.
I love it too. But first time I saw you, I was like, is that Aqua Carpatica? Is that Romanian?
Yep.
Awesome. Happy to see that.
Yeah, it's good.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah,
go
nothing
ahead.
really to add there. I think Natalya kind of covered everything.
Perfect. In that case, I have one final question from the audience, and then I will let you move on with your days. With attention spans so short, is there a recommended length for emails to subscribers or general best practices for their structure, their design, anything like that?
It's
Tough
also
questions from our audience today.
yeah, also really big question, and maybe don't send email when you don't need it. Don't create a long email. If you have just one idea, just add it with one picture, with a small paragraph, and it will be enough. You don't need to create a long story about your item. Also, it not depends on you about length. It depends on Gmail, because Gmail can cut your email if it's so long. But that's why just add useful information and it will be enough. About best practices, it's a lot of them. A clear subject line, use pre-header text, use strong words, create short paragraphs, use bullet points, blah, 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 blah. Don't forget about mobile phones. So it's a lot of best practice. But I can recommend you Stripe or email. Maybe you know this editor. I'll send you this link. They have a lot of wait a second. They have a lot of information in their blog. They have a really great checklist about gamification, about your first email, so you can find any articles and also email templates, so you can find a lot of ideas. Yeah, here's the link.
Just to add to what you said, what I typically do in order to check the length of any newsletters that I send is I send a test to my phone. And what I do is I do the 2 scroll test. If my email is longer than 2 scrolls, it's too long. Because when you skim text, you typically do this. And that's it. So that's the best test that I do, that I always, always do, never fails me.
The only thing I would add there is just remember you're talking to human beings. Humans like to talk to humans. A lot of people are now going with the strategy of just plain text and looking like, it's coming from you and me, like you'd see from a friend or a family member or something like that, an email like that, just because visually that's instantly going to engage you because you subconsciously associate just a plain text email with somebody you're familiar with. You don't receive that from companies and things like that. And using language like you're familiar, and you're not like super, you don't have to be super buttoned up and professional all the time. You doing things like that that just make it look like you're communicating with a human being, really, really effective in my opinion.
That's actually really, really good advice. Okay, so I think that concludes our session for today. Thank you all for joining us. Once again, if you want to reach out to Natalya, she dropped her LinkedIn profile in the chat. You'll see there with Andrea's message, as well as Austin's email. And by the way, don't forget to ask for those credits. Very important. And if you have any social media related questions, you can always reach out to us, anka@socialbee.com or hello@socialbee.com, and we'll be more than happy to answer any social media related questions. With that in mind, I thank you both, Austin, Natalya, for joining me today. It was a very, very interesting discussion. I've learned a lot, mainly how to avoid avalanches and build snowmen, but but yeah, it was great, very productive. I hope people in the audience actually learned a lot. I really enjoyed all the conversations in the chat happening while we were talking. So again, thank you very much for joining us today, and I guess we'll see you guys next time in the next webinar.
Thank you so
Pleasure to
much.
be here. Good to meet everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye. Have
Take
a great
care.
rest of your day. Bye.